Hi, thank you. My name is Jackson Moulding. It's an absolute honour to be here in front of you guys. I'm not an architect, but you guys are the architects, and you guys are designing the places that we will live and create into the future. So your role is critical, and not to, obviously you know that, but it's great to be able to talk to you about some of the stuff we've done. So very quickly, I'm just going to roll into a quick episode of Have I Got News For You? And we are hosted by Gus there in the middle. And Amanda, I didn't do you the honour of cutting your face out. But so we're going to have the odd one out round. And I'm going to show you 4 slides, 4 images. And I want you to try and think which is the odd one out. And the topic of today's session is self-build, custom build, and community-led housing. So the first slide, a project in Germany. Place called Freiburg. A project in Bath, you know where that is. A house or a home in West Wales. And a project in Leeds. So, there we are. They're the 4 magic slides. So, a bit of audience participation. No one's going to judge you on your choice. So, hands up for the top left. Hands up for the top right. Hands up for the bottom left. Hands up for the bottom right. Okay, so we've got a good mix. Not many people chose the top left one. Anyone want to offer why they chose the top right? Spec build, okay. Anyone why the bottom left? No, single house. Anyone on the bottom right? Okay, so we'll find out. The top left. So it's the only community-led housing project that was not done in the UK. All of them are community-led in one form or another. So that's the Vauban project, which I'm sure you all know about, the top left. Top right is a self-build project in Bath. Bottom left is the Lammas project in Pembrokeshire. And the bottom right is the Lilac project in Leeds. So they all come under different terms. I'm sure you've heard lots of these terms before. And I have been interested in how we get the community back in the game, obviously that is one of your, they are the end recipients of the work that you do. Lots of today has been how you deal with the client. In my mind, I feel these guys are the client, even though they may not be paying for it to start with. So how do we get the end residents into play? So you may have seen this graph before. We came up with this graph a while back, about 10 years ago, as part of our work in setting up the National Self-Build Association, which is now the National Customer Self-Build Association. And you can see that the UK is pretty low on numbers in terms of self-build delivery compared to other places. But that's an opportunity there. You can research a bit more about that on other stuff. So why am I doing this? So I was renting a room in a house in Bristol. Not quite such a beautiful street as George showed earlier, but the landlord decided to sell. I wanted to do some environmental work to the property. I couldn't do it because I was renting, so I was looking at what were my other options. This site came up for sale around the corner, 2.1 acres, and we set up a local community organisation to try and think, what could we do? Slightly out of NIMBYism to try and stop a developer doing something, we worked on how could we do something ourselves. And that led on to the opportunity for me to be able to build my own place. So I designed that and I built it with my partner. And you can see, has this got a laser? Yeah. You can see you can see the plot costs were very low. And we did, this is 18 years ago. So obviously a bit of time has led on in terms of pricing. The build cost is the cost that I incurred buying materials. And the build cost per square metre, it doesn't not include the sweat equity, and that came up earlier. But it gave me an opportunity to do something where I had control over the place that I built, and that was a fantastic process for me. And it's led on to me doing the sort of work that I've been doing for the last 15 years. You can see my house now nestled in amongst the others at the top with a little red car out the front. And this was a scheme of 40 homes. The bulk of the homes around the outside were self-build. The ones in the middle were self-finished. So we built the shells, and residents came in and did the internals. We got, I think, probably the only cave Building for Life award for a self-build scheme. We were very honoured to get that. And we also renovated the 1960s office building that was on the site as well. So we wrapped that up, insulated it. There's 6 apartments in there, and the ground floor is owned and maintained by the community. We get enough rent from that community space that we can give little bursaries out to the local community to do things like build a pizza oven or a ice cream trike or whatever. You know, people come and say, can I have 500 quid to do something? So, self-build, community involvement. So we wanted to try and demonstrate what the benefit was. And so we used the quality of life questions that go out to all the local authorities to people to find out. The blue is the Bristol-wide results, the red are the results from the ward that we're in, and the green is the yard, the self-build project. It's not a gated community, there's actually no lights at night time, but there is a dramatic difference in terms of people's well-being living on that site, mainly due to them sharing a journey together in terms of creating their homes. So we've gone on to set up the Bristol Community Land Trust in 2011, and we've delivered a scheme of 12 homes, which 6 of them are new build, and 6 are in a renovated old school building, and that was delivered through self-finish. And that was the journey with our work in creating the shells. The residents did the insides. And that was an amazing experience for those people. 5 of the homes are rented, and 7 of are shared equity. And even the people that are renting got to fit their kitchens, their flooring, tiling, and decorating. And that journey was an incredible experience, which allowed the group to gel. Doesn't mean everyone likes each other, but it certainly means that everyone knows what makes them tick. So I'm sure you've all seen Maslow's hierarchy of need. Generally, housing and the numbers that we get talked about at government level, we need 300,000 new homes, generally meets the second tier up. So how do we get to the third tier? And I guess that's what you do quite often. How do you make places that are connected and social cohesion and all these things? Community-led housing addresses that third thing right from the start. So projects are happening. There's lots of co-housing schemes, community land trust schemes, cooperative own home schemes. You can research into those things if you don't know much about them. There's a lot happening now at the moment. There's a lot of funding available. And so it's certainly worth, as an architectural practice, to look at how you can work with local communities to deliver schemes. Okay, get running low. We've just managed to buy a farm nearby to our first project, and we raised the money by just putting word out and saying we need the money to buy the site. In 6 weeks, we raised 570,000, which allowed us to buy the site. And we're exploring master planning on that site now. We're also working with the Housing Association supporting the self-finish program for 50 homes. That's going to be quite fun. 100 residents, all working with them, showing them how to fit their kitchens. So I'll see if I've got any hair left after next year. And just some opportunities for you. So this is why it's nice to be able to come here and speak to you, is that I'm sure you've seen some of these stats, but 74% of people prefer not to the products of the volume house builders. We've got 11 years to try and get to zero carbon for climate change. That should be a direct target that you are all embracing. Like every project from now on should be trying to work out how we minimize the future consumption of carbon. And then the 53% is based on a Mori poll that we did as NAXPA that showed a lot of people want to be involved. 18,000 sign-ups for the self-build registers. That was in the first base period. We are now 3 years down the line, and there's a lot of money available. So this is something you should do. And to finish off, that's me. So that's our group. Just to remember, the residents are the people we should be doing projects for. Thank you.